developing right now?
I think it's been really good. Christian and Jordan, both brought different things to the position that will benefit our team. They play at each other. Sometimes I play them together. But I look at collective stats for a 3-week period of time. Both assist turnover numbers are really good. Both shoot the ball pretty good. Jordan is shooting the ball extremely well. Both of them showing some toughness. Both of them playing defense. And I'm very confident with either one of them.
Both can play multiple positions too, right? More than just a point.
And are both really smart. So we talk about that all the time. Guys didn't have the capability to play more than one position, but they can't remember more than one position. And those two guys are really bright, and they do know every position on the floor, and that's what's necessary, especially at that position.
You see a time playing them together in every situation?
I do, because Christian, with his length defensively, would be a good guy to put on certain players, because he's really good at moving his feet laterally and also contesting jump shots. So if you have a talented player at that position, or you can have Christian bring it down, Jordan shoot the ball coming off screens, throw it out to him on the break. He's really looking good, from three-point range.
Are you ready? Is one ahead of the other right now, or is it too early?
I don't think either one is ahead of the other right now. And I think that what's interesting about it, they have been at times, different times, one's been ahead of the other, but collectively I think they're about the same.
Do you have kind of a lineup in mind yet?
Yeah, I do. Probably, we have a scrimmage game on Sunday. Probably start as soon. We'll see how that goes. I think I have a lineup that I'll go with, but that could change between now and November 11th.
Is the puzzle a little different because you have such versatility? I mean, you can play so many different guys at different spots.
And I think that's the important point to make, because it's almost irrelevant who starts, because we have a legitimate. We can go beyond 10. Whether we will or not remains to be seen. Can you actually be fair to everybody and get more than 10 into the game? It's hard. I do think we have multiple players that can be effective and will be ready to play, both not only in terms of understanding the physicality of what this level is, but also the complexity from an X and O standpoint.
When you look at Nicholas Baer, he's such a good guy off the bench, almost a spark plug with energy and scoring.
Well, I kind of look at him like Clemens.
Yeah.
Last year, I've said this to you guys many times, I did not want to start Anthony Clemens. I wanted to bring him off the bench, and he, to his credit, earned a starting position, so I started him. I felt like I owed that to him. If you work hard and you do everything we ask you to do and you deserve to start, I'll start you. That's kind of where Nicholas is right now.
What do you see from Pete to tell you that he's going to be able to fight through all the extra attention he's going to get with the harassment on defenses?
Well, I think it's just how hard he works and the extra time he puts in. He had a terrible day shooting 2 days ago in practice, and he was in here all day yesterday, his off day, get it figured out. He's just one of those guys that's a worker. He's in great shape physically, and I have no doubt that we'll be able to get him the shots he needs. But you're right, he is going to see the kind of defense that makes it harder. They're going to rotate people on him, they're going to double him, they're going to be physical with him, smaller guys, bigger guys, whatever they think might work. Switch, a lot of switching and denying, try to limit his touches. So he's going to have to really, really move without the ball. We're going to have to be very intelligent with how we screen for him and then how we play off of him. So those screeners have to get to the rim and score the ball. Now, we probably have more low post options than we've ever had since I've been here. We've got multiple low post scoring threats. So that's a game changer when you have a jump shooter. When all you're doing is shooting jump shots, and we were primarily a jump shooting team last year. It's different now that you want to chase people around on the perimeter. We're going to be hammering that sucker inside, and you're going to have to defend those guys in there.
Has the big men, have they played out their roles and stuff the way you wanted to so far?
Yeah, I think Cook's been terrific, Pemsel's been terrific, Kriener been terrific. Dom Ewell, I think, has been along with Ahmad Wagner, what you would have expected, those two guys being returning players who have experience. So we've got, tremendous depth there. And that's comforting, because when in the last year, if you remember this time, we were having a conversation, well, we're going to be deep enough in the post. Who was going to guard if Woody got in foul trouble? And we had trouble sometimes. The Maryland game sticks out. And we had trying to guard Diamond Stone and those kind of guys in the post was hard. This year we'll have be a more physical team.
Hey, Coach, with the tweaks and the rules and the cylinder and freedom of movement, has that changed in any way you attack offensively or defensively?
No, I don't think. I just don't think it'll be that different when it's all said and done.
Do you think you're likely to redshirt somebody out of the freshman group? And
I think
give
that's
feel
a
for
safe
what it might
bet,
be?
but truthfully, I'm not there yet with anybody, and that may not happen as a result, because we've got a lot of guys playing well. We have to see who, especially on the perimeter, steps up and grabs the available playing time, and who's the odd man out, at least in the short run, because that can change, as you well know, over a 2-3 week period of time.
How have the freshmen handled consistency? I mean, obviously it's one of the big adjustments.
Well, it's the hardest thing. Most freshmen are not consistent. They are really good some days, pretty good some days, and some days struggle. And I would say, overall, I've been very pleased with how our guys have performed in that respect. They haven't been perfect. Don't expect perfection. And they haven't been real consistent, but they've been consistent enough, considering that they have no experience yet. And like, for example, Tyler Cook, he's consistently scored the ball. Every day he scores the ball. He'll make more mistakes some days than others. Bohannon competes every day. I mean, he shoots it lights out some days not so much lights out, but still effective assist turnover ratio. I mean, you go right on down the line. Pemsel, he had the tonsillectomy. He didn't play for a while, but once he got healthy, he's been really, really good with his skill set. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He can post. He understands how to post. He's smart. He knows more than one position. Greener's a guy that a lot of people weren't talking about. He's been our leading rebounder from day one in practice over a 3 week period of time. So that's a long, random sample of data that you have to go on. So every time that ball comes off the rim, he's going to get it. And you got to respect that about him.
When you look at young people, especially with the finality of redshirt or not redshirt, is it hard to gauge the trajectory? Because somebody in October, November may not be far along, but by January they might.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I don't like the redshirt guys, because I don't like to close the door too early, especially before we get into Big Ten play. But if you start playing them in games, then you can't redshirt them either. So it's a very difficult decision to make, and I want to make sure that if we decide to do it, it's for all the right reasons.
Is it almost a good thing for the guys to make mistakes right now so they can learn from some stuff?
Well, I think that's to be expected. Ultimately, you don't want your guys, whether they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, or seniors, to make mistakes. You make mistakes, you're going to get beat. The teams are too good on our schedule. So, I'm constantly looking at assist turnover ratio across the board. And we're pretty good in that area. And we have some guys that have a little trouble with shot selection. That has to get rectified. We have time. But mistake teams, they get beat. So we have to clean that up.
What about Dale Jones right now?
He's right now. He's got a bum ankle, so I feel bad for him. When he's been out there, he's been really good. Okay, he had a little hamstring issue for a day or two, a little ankle thing for a day or two, but he's been going at his pace anyway, so it's not the end of the world. But if you look at him physically, he looks really good. And when he has played, he's made shots, he's made plays, and he's going to be a factor. There's no question about that.
Got time for one or two more if you got it.
Do you try to simulate in practice the pounding that Pete's going to take, or do you want to?
We do.
Hands off. Okay. How do you do that?
Well, you just stay after him. I mean, you can't relax and let him get anything easy, whether it be in transition or in half court. So we'll face guard him, and we'll switch on him. bang them a little bit on cuts, but that's one of the areas where, Kevin's question was, you can't do that stuff anymore. You can't bang cutters like you used to be able to bang cutters, and that will help Pete. Because I think that's one area what they'll call it. The cylinder stuff, I think, is really difficult. I mean, if you think about it, we want to get up in pressure, and okay, so I'm not in your cylinder, but if you go like that, well, now you're coming into my cylinder. I mean, that is really hard to officiate, in fairness to those guys. And I think we have the best officials in the country, but that's hard stuff to do. But if a guy's banging a cutter, that's easy to see, and that's going to be called. So I think that will help Pete.
What about Maishi and Isaiah? How are they competing there at the outside?
They're both, I think, in a very good place. Isaiah has scored the ball consistently, which he always has. Maishi picking stuff up. He's a little behind Isaiah because he was here last year, obviously. But those two guys have a chance to be really good. They've been a little bit inconsistent at times, but I think for the most part, they've taken care of the ball, and they both make shots. And I think the only thing they have to do now is really learn the offense inside and out, because those two guys are versatile players, and I think their ability to impact the game in a lot of different ways will help our team.
Okay, thank you, Coach.